Alright guys, so here's a pretty interesting watch from a fairly new brand that's already launched on Kickstarter. It's been successfully funded, so there's actually going to be a series of watches they do, but we'll get into that as we get down to it. So this is the Keaton Keris. This is actually a prototype I've got here. So there's going to be a few little changes from the actual production versions, but again, we'll talk about that as we get into it. So because this is a prototype, I was sent it to review. Don't get to keep it, got to send it back. But you know the score. Doesn't change the way I do my reviews. Going to be 100% honest either way. So let's get down to it. So it comes with this pretty interesting packaging with this little mascot thing. I think they have different ones for the different types of watches because they have a few different kinds. And then you've got a nice little pouch bit if you want to put straps and bits and pieces in. Then on the back, again, some little straps and that to hook it onto stuff or attach it to stuff, I guess. And then just the main pouch. So I've just got the watch in here. I'm assuming with the final version you'll get like the warranty card and all that kind of stuff. So let's quickly go over the dimensions of this. So I've got a diameter of 41, thickness of 13.7, so it's a little on the thick side. Lug width of 20, and then the all important lug to lug is just a touch over 48. So apart from that thickness, pretty nice dimensions. But this is the kind of watch where the thickness isn't really going to be too big an issue, because it's not the kind of watch that you're going to be slipping under a cuff. It's like a statement piece more than anything, so you want people to see it. Definitely going to be a conversation starter, this one. So let's get a zoom in and just start looking at it straight away. So that dial is actually Damascus steel. So they do, as I say, a few different versions. So they have stainless steel versions, Damascus steel versions, and they also have titanium ones as well. So this one I have here, it's got the Damascus dial as well as the Damascus case as well, which is really cool. Not something you see, something totally different. But again, if that's a bit too much for you, you can get it with just the Damascus dial and a steel case or a titanium case, or they do different dial options as well. So we've got a really interesting just overall design. So we've got the hands on this, which are actually made to look like daggers, because the name of this, the Keris, is actually like a ceremonial dagger. Probably leave some pictures on screen if I can find something, show you what it's based on. And then I don't know if you can see this, if I get in a bit closer, there we go. You can see we've got the Keaton branding at the top there, just in that chapter ring, very subtly done. And then Keris at the bottom as well. So again, very subtle. So I do quite like that. It's not overly branded, keeps the dial uncluttered, because it is all about this dial, that Damascus steel. And then if I show you this kind of angle, we can see that chapter ring is actually raised. So that's a stainless steel chapter ring on that. And the rest of it, as I said, is Damascus steel. If you're not sure what Damascus steel is, I'll probably leave some stuff on screens to explain that, because it is pretty interesting. When it comes to the bezel, this is actually ceramic insert on this, and again it's Damascus steel, the rest of it. There is a little bit of a defect there, but that's because this is a prototype, as I said previously, so they're going to tidy up all that kind of thing for the final production version. Another thing they are going to change, in fact, talk about that right now, is this crown. At the moment, it is a little bit too small, a little bit awkward, but apparently they're already aware of that, so they're changing that, making it bigger for the final one, because that is one of the few little issues I've had whilst testing this out. So just going to zoom back out and talk about the strap briefly. So this is actually a Halloween leather strap. Nicely done, nice stitching. And then again, with the buckle on this, this isn't the one you're going to get with the final version. So if you go for the Damascus steel, you'll actually have a matching Damascus steel buckle apparently, which will be branded with Keaton on it. And obviously if you go with titanium, you get a titanium one. Stainless steel, you get the stainless steel. So it is good that they're going to change that and match it up. Just helps complete the look, I think. So flicking around to the back. Again, this is going to be another change. So it's going to be the same design. Let's zoom in again. But the actual final version is going to be a screw down case back, because this one obviously isn't. Another interesting thing when it comes to this case is the fact that it isn't actually one single piece. I'll probably leave a diagram on screen to show you that, because the way it's been put together, you can't really tell. So now let's test whether we've got sapphire crystal on this. Using the trusty diamond selector too. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal. So that's always good to see. And with that sapphire crystal, it is completely flat, no curvature to that at all. Before we test out the Lume, quickly talk about this bezel. So as I said, it's a ceramic insert and it's 120 click. It's got a nice action on it. Rock solid, no backplay. And I think it lines up pretty much spot on. Although it is a little bit awkward to tell with this because obviously it doesn't have the separate minute markers. But it seems to be alright. It seems to line up with that crown and everything. And speaking of which, when it comes to the movement on this, I'll quickly unscrew this. As I say, this is going to be getting changed because at the moment it's a little fiddly. You have to kind of do it with your nail at the moment. So not ideal, but it is good that they're changing that straight away. Because as I say, that is one of the only real issues I have with this watch. So unscrew it like that. So the movement in this is the Miyota 905S, which is similar to the 9039. So it doesn't have the date function that the 9015 has, but this is actually the open heart version. Obviously it doesn't have that on display, but it is there. So we've got no date position, so just the one position. Pull it out, second hand stops, go hacking, and then obviously we can change the time, pop it back in, second hand re-engages. And then at the moment, a little bit awkward to screw down, although, saying that, although it is a little bit small, the grip is actually good, so once they make it bigger, that should be perfectly fine. But again, it is pretty interesting that they've got the crown up here. I've not seen a watch that has a single crown at the top. Apparently that's called a unicorn crown, I think. I may be wrong there. If I am, let me know down in the comments what it is actually called. I've seen bullhead ones before, we have the two obviously, but with this one, just the single crown. So again, something pretty unique for this watch. It's just a really interesting piece, I think. So many different unique features, but again, it's going to be one of those you either love it or hate it. But another thing you might love, if we just check this out now, is the Lume. So you can see we've got quite a bit there already, but let's charge it up, see exactly what we're dealing with. But right off the bat, you can see this is going to be a pretty good Lume when it's charged up that much already just from my lights. And there we go. So really impressive Lume on this one. So it's actually BGW9 on this, but it's not just your standard BGW9, it's BGW9X1. So hence why it is so bright. Really impressive Lume. And I think with some of the dial versions you actually get a lumed dial as well, kind of blended in. But I can't confirm that, but I'm fairly sure that's what it is. If I can, I'll try and find a picture and pop that up. But really impressive Lume. Plenty of it. Really interesting look to it too. the way they've fully loomed that chapter ring. And then, well, basically everything else. It's really, really good loom. If I was being a little bit nitpicky, possibly you could have a little bit more on those hands. But again, this is a prototype, so I suspect the final production version will probably be even better. But definitely impressed with the loom on this one. So you're probably wondering, how much do these cost? So again, because there's quite a lot of different versions of these, different variations and combinations you can get, which I know sounds like quite a lot, but again, you've got this really unique Damascus steel on the case and on the dial. You've got that really impressive X1 BGW9 loom. The movement could possibly be a bit more high-end, but again, when you combine it and take all these bits into account, all the different things, the unique design, the really unique, interesting materials used, impressive loom. Also, I forgot to mention, you get another strap. You'll get this Hawaiian leather one, but you'll also get a FKM rubber one as well. So, high-grade rubber again. Check out the link in the description if you want to know the actual specifics for certain permutations. So, all that's left to do now is show you what it's like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. So, this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist, on this Hawaiian leather strap. And again, this will be getting changed for the final version to match the case, and it will be branded as well. So, Hawaiian leather, as you know, really good quality, really soft, really comfortable, so that's not an issue. But it is all about that case and that dial. You just don't see anything like this. It's so unique. If you know of any other watches that use Damascus steel, let us know down in the comments, but I've not seen any. Because this is a prototype, there's a few little issues here and there when it comes to finishing, but again, the final version will be sorting out all those issues. The biggest of which being that crown, because on this version again, it's a touch small, but they're already making it a bit bigger, so that's going to fix that. Other than that, I can't really fault it. But it just comes down to whether you like this design or not. Because as I say, it's not going to be for everyone. But again, they have so many different options, you're probably going to find one that you do like. So then it just comes down to whether you're willing to pay this kind of money for a watch of this kind of style. Some people may think it's a little bit thick. It is a touch thick, but I think it works with the overall design. Because as I said earlier, it's not a sole piece, it's not going to be something you're going to be slipping under a cuff. It's a statement piece, a conversation starter. So, if you're interested in it, links down in the description. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.